Hey guys, what is going on? LegoMan123 are back with another video, and welcome to another top 10 video. But today, in this episode, it will be actually a top 8, and it will be on my top 8 Avatar The Last Airbender Avatar State moments. So without further ado, let's get into it. At number 8, we have The Boy in the Iceberg, and this is the very first episode for Season 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender, and we see Sokka and Katara actually see this sort of iceberg, and it does sort of explode in a way, and then Aang the boy comes out, and he just looks sort of really powerful and all that, because he is in the Avatar state when he sort of emerges from the iceberg, and he's sort of all dizzy and all that, sort of uncontrolled from the sort of Avatar sort of state, so he doesn't know what's happening, because as he emerges from it, he seems all sort of lost and all that, but then he does fall, and Katara does catch him. It just shows how unexpected the Avatar state can be, and also how powerful it can be, because there was this massive sort of sphere ball made out of ice, and Aang and Appa were inside of it, and Aang was controlling it with the Avatar state, which is definitely really powerful. At number 7, we have the Crossroads of Destiny, and this happens in the season finale of Season 2, where Aang and Katara are versing Azula, and then Zuko, and then a couple of the Dai Li agents, and the only way for Aang to actually sort of protect Katara and actually beat the bad guys is to go into the Avatar state, but to do this he has to let go of the ones he loved, because that was the final sort of a chakra he had to unlock, because he does learn that from the guru sort of person. So I thought that was pretty cool. But then as he's sort of flying up in the air from the Avatar state, he does get sort of struck by lightning from Azula. So it was definitely quite a sad moment, but it was definitely really cool how he sort of trapped himself in a sort of crystal part and got into the Avatar state, and then slowly emerges up. I thought that was definitely really cool, and it kind of looked like he was going to do some sort of powerful move, because he was sort of rising up, but then he does get shot by lightning, which was definitely quite sad to actually see that. At number 6, we have the Southern Air Temple, and this happened when Sokka, Katara, and Aang decided to go to the Southern Air Temple so that Aang could be reunited with Monk Yatso and all his other friends. But then, to their surprise, it's been 100 years since the war and all that, so a lot has definitely changed for Aang, and he does actually see one of his good friends, Monk Yatso's skeleton with a bunch of not dead bodies, but armor all scattered around, and then Aang is sort of angry and furious about this, so he does merge into the Avatar state, which was definitely quite cool, but then also quite shocking to actually see that, because it just shows how powerful and sort of uncontrollable the Avatar state is, because you need to have a sort of a certain mindset to it, because if you go too unbalanced, or say frustration or something like that, the Avatar state can come a lot more easy. So it's definitely quite shocking to actually see that actually happen, but it was definitely really cool, because it was almost some sort of tornado thing happening, because it was got really windy and all that, and the glowing eyes, the arrows, definitely really cool. And then to see Sokka and Katara's reaction was definitely quite interesting, because they were quite shocked to actually see Aang do this sort of Avatar state thing. At number 5, we have the Avatar state, and this happened in the first episode of Season 2, when Sokka, Katara, and Aang were trying to find an earthbending teacher for Aang so he could actually learn it, and they find this Earth Kingdom, and the general there is basically forcing Aang to use the Avatar state so they can use it as a weapon against the Fire Nation and all that, for protection. So then he forces Aang to actually doing the Avatar state by harming Katara, by slowly sinking her, and then once Katara is completely sort of sunken down in the ground, Aang uncontrollably goes into the Avatar state from anger and sort of frustration, and he can't actually control it, so he has sort of no idea what he's actually doing, as in harm. He destroys the whole sort of village inside of the kingdom, all the buildings are destroyed. It just shows how powerful the Avatar state can be, and also how dangerous it can be, because it can very easily hurt sort of civilians and sort of innocent people. But then the general was all sort of happy and all that he actually achieved this sort of milestone, because he sort of force the Avatar state on Aang, but then he actually does get, I believe, called a jerk because like he was doing something what's not very good because like he was forcing Aang into doing the Avatar state. And number 4, we have the Storm, and this happened in an episode actually called The Storm, when Team Avatar, Sokka, Katara, and Aang, alongside this old fishman, they're all flying on Appa. I believe they're actually going back to like the village where they actually meet the fishman, and then also I believe his wife, because Sokka alongside the fishman went actually on this sort of a dangerous sort of a fishing trip, and like they got overwhelmed by like the storm and all that, and as they're traveling back, they were actually wiped out by this ginormous wave. So it was definitely quite sad to actually see that, because this could possibly be the end of the Avatar: The Last Airbender. But then as they're slowly sinking down into like the bottom of the ocean, Aang goes into the Avatar state, and he makes this really cool spear thing. I believe it's very similar to the one he actually does in Boy in the Iceberg. So it's definitely really cool to actually see just how powerful he is and just how much control he does have over the Avatar state to actually do this really cool move. Like, he sort of pushes his fists together and like he makes this really cool sphere thing. So it's definitely really cool to actually see that and just showing how powerful Aang sort of has come, because in the first couple of episodes of season 1, he's sort of not controlled of the Avatar state yet. And number 3, we have the Siege on the North Part 2, and I believe this happened after Yue sacrificed herself to save the Moon Spirits. Like, the only way for the Moon Spirits to come back alive and the Moon to be restored was if she sacrificed herself. And then after that, Aang actually does walk into the spiritual water, and I believe becomes this pretty epic sort of moon spirit monster thing. Definitely really cool, and I also like just how much power and sort of mobility Aang actually had towards this, because he could very easily control, like if he moved one of his arms, the monster would move it. So I really did like that, and like Aang didn't lose control at any point. Like the sort of moon spirit monster didn't actually like go on a massive rampage, because Aang definitely had a lot of control over it. And it was definitely really cool to see Aang like take out a bunch of Fire Nation ships, like walking through the Northern Water Tribe, just like taking out Fire Nation people. Definitely really cool, and definitely a pretty epic moon spirit, because I really did like the design of it, and I liked how like in the middle of it you could just see Aang there like moving all his arms and all that. And number 2, we have the Winter Solas Part 2, and this happened when Aang had a conversation with his past life, Avatar Roku, and Avatar Roku told him that there was this Fire Nation temple where Avatar Roku actually lived, and like there was this sort of almost like prophecy thing gonna happen there. I'm not 100% sure on what it was, but Team Avatar had to get there on a certain day, or else it would like sort of pass over and it wouldn't happen for a very long time. So then they had to actually go there. And once they got to the temple, it was like guarded by some Fire Nation sort of people, but one of them was quite loyal to Aang because he was a good friend of Avatar Roku, so he actually did help them actually get into the temple. But my favourite part by far was when Aang almost got like sort of possessed by Avatar Roku, because Avatar Roku did sort of become Aang, like he controlled Aang and all that. So it was definitely pretty damn cool to see Aang become Avatar Roku, and like Zhao and a couple other Fire Nation sort of soldiers actually shot at him, and like then Avatar Roku like redirected the fire. Definitely really cool, and just showing how strong Aang can actually be with his past life, and definitely how they can actually sort of possess him in a way. Definitely really cool to see that. But then Avatar Roku began to actually destroy the sort of Fire Nation and temple. So definitely quite cool to actually see that, because it shows how strong Avatar Roku is with fire. And then like he then sort of unpossesses Aang, because then Aang becomes like himself again. So definitely really cool to actually see that. And finally, at number 1, we have Sozin's Comment Part 4, and this was the final fight between Aang and Fire Lord Ozai to determine the fate of the world, and Aang can't actually use the Avatar state because like his chakra was actually blocked from when Azula actually shot him by lightning. But then when the sort of tides turn, Aang actually gets sort of knocked back from like the force of Ozai's fire from Sozin's comet, and like he gets sort of up against a rock and it like jabs into the spot, and then that does trigger the Avatar state. And it was definitely really cool to actually see that happen. Like Aang basically comes out from the rocks, grabs his beard, and then like as Ozai's about to shoot fire, he knocks it away, and then he used airbending to knock Fire Lord Ozai sort of like quite a few miles away. So definitely really cool. But by far my favourite part was when Aang was controlling all 4 elements at once. First he does air, and then I believe he goes fire, water, and then finally rocks. It was definitely really cool to see that, and how Aang actually controlled all 4 elements at once. It just shows how far Aang has come, because in the first couple of episodes he could only trigger the sort of Avatar state when he was like angry, frustrated, and all that, and it was quite uncontrollable. Like he did things what he regretted and he couldn't actually control it. But then in this episode he could control all the 4 elements, he could control the Avatar state, so it just definitely shows how far he has come. And then at the point where like Aang is about to fire all 4 elements at Ozai, he decides to like sort of turn off the Avatar state because he knows it's not the right thing to just kill, not an innocent person, because he's definitely not innocent, but just to kill a person. So I really liked how like Aang could very easily sort of like tap out of the Avatar state. So hope you guys did enjoy this video as much as I did making it, because I really did enjoy sharing my thoughts and opinions on my top 8 Avatar The Last Airbender Avatar state moments. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and definitely stay tuned for next week's episode because I'm definitely looking forward to doing that one. So as always guys, hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I can actually say goodbye.